Can you feel a certain way about a word? Do you like some words more than others? English is full of fascinating vocabulary, and today we're going to talk about words we love and words we dislike. We'll explore why certain words make us feel good and why others make us feel uncomfortable. Welcome to
Aprender Inglés with Reza and Craig.
Hello and welcome to the podcast, especially if you're a new listener. And if you've come back to listen again, thank you. My name's Craig.
And my name's Reza.
And with nearly 60 years of teaching between us, Reza and I are going to help you improve your English and take it to the next level. How are you, Reza?
I'm doing quite well, I must say. Though here we are in Valencia, I'm getting fed up with the rain. Are you?
Well, it's been raining a lot, which is uncharacteristic of Valencia, and it is going on now. But it's not as cold as it was, so I think the weather's improving slightly. A bit of patience, my friend. I'm sure in a week or so the sun will come out again. The sun will come out tomorrow.
Music to my ears. Well, you say uncharacteristic, yes, except that it is totally characteristic of Valencia that when it rains, it can go on for about 4 days without stopping.
That's true.
But then it won't rain again for 5 months. That's Valencia.
Yeah, that's very true. But we're not here today to talk about the weather, although that is a very English thing to do. We're going to speak about some words we like and some words that we dislike. So let's go first, Reza, with words that we like. Now, we made separate lists before this podcast, and I think you are going to tell us your words first, the words that you like. But before that, why do people like some words and they dislike other words? What about the words we like? Why is that?
Well, for me, first and foremost, that means it's the first thing and it's also the most important thing on our list, is that they sound musical. The musicality of a word can just appeal to you. In the same way that certain people like certain songs or types of music and others don't. It's the same with words. The musicality of the word can appeal to you. Don't you think that's really important?
Yeah, how they sound. Also, if they feel a bit poetic, maybe. I think some words have a feeling about them. Maybe they rhyme with other words, or maybe there's some kind of rhyming inside the word itself. Repeated sounds, for example, and that makes us, I think, like them more. And also we can sometimes connect particular words with a particular place or a time or even a person, and that makes us think of them in a positive way.
As well as that, some words can express strong or interesting ideas. You might think, oh, well, hold on, all words express an idea. Okay, but some ideas are not that interesting, are there? For example, the words okay. You're okay. I can't imagine that anybody loves the word okay, because it's not that exciting, is it?
It's easy to remember.
It's easy to remember, that's true. But words like fabulous, that has a ring to it. That's better than okay, isn't it? It's a strong idea. So it tends to be words that have a strong meaning that people like.
Absolutely. And another reason why people might like certain words is because they're just fun to say. And we'll look at some examples of that later. But some words you just enjoy saying. There's something about the words that make you smile, let's say.
Yes, I remember when I was a teenager, when I came across new words that sounded odd, I just couldn't help saying them all the time. And, teenagers are silly. So really out of context, with my mates, I would go up to them and say things like, oh, don't be such a fibberty-gibbert, which really does exist.
Does it? I've never heard that word.
Yeah, but exactly. You sound idiotic if you use it in modern English, but it does. So I thought, that's a great sound, fibberty-gibbert. So I just couldn't stop using it. I used to do that when I was a kid. How stupid kids can be.
Now, you can use these different reasons for liking words, the musicality, the poetry, the sound, what they mean, any connection you can make. You can use these things to help you learn words and remember them. because you make a very strong tie, a very strong connection to the word. Maybe fibbity-bibbity, whatever it was. Maybe
Fibbity-gibbert.
Fibbity-gibbert. Maybe that's not a great example, but words that you're learning in English as you study and you choose which words you like and you make that strong connection, that's really powerful. That can help you remember certain words. But let's go to Reza's list now. Reza, tell us some words that you like and why do you like them?
Well, actually, for me, you might be surprised that most of my words are on the simple side. For me, simple beauty is the best. So keep it pure, keep it simple. I'm going to start off with the word lovely. Simply that, the word lovely. Why do I like it? Well, it can only be good. If something's lovely, what can be bad about something that's lovely? It's a lovely word. It's lovely. Everything's good. Lovely. It's a great word. It's hard to be more positive than that. Wouldn't you agree?
That's a lovely word. I have a short story about lovely because when my wife, who is Spanish, was learning English, I taught her to say lovely as she was speaking to someone as a kind of interjection or something to say to encourage the person to continue, kind of a response when someone's speaking to you. And you say, oh, I've made you a coffee. Oh, lovely. With that intonation, it's a very nice thing to say. And she was having a conversation with a couple of Australian people when we were traveling who had just come from an area of Asia where they'd had a really bad typhoon. And they were telling us about the disaster that had happened to them where they had lost their luggage, the typhoon affected their hotel, they felt really scared and really frightened, and suddenly my wife said, oh, lovely. And they said, lovely? No, it was terrible, it was frightening. So she'd misunderstood the context and just wanted to use that word. And she was just learning English at the time.
Well, the next word on my list is a word that I guess Craig wouldn't use very often, and that's because it's associated above all with Scotland and Ireland, and it's the word we, W-E-E, we. It's like almost part of our identity if you're Scottish or Irish to use it, rather than the equivalent words little or small. Nah, that's for standard English. No, we much prefer, it's not just me, the vast majority of people in Ireland and Scotland, I assure you, much prefer to use the word we. Everything's we. A wee boy, have a wee drink, do you want a wee cup of tea? It's all we.
And you're using it as an adjective, which I wouldn't, but I would use it as a verb or a noun because to wee or a wee or to go for a wee is to urinate. So I would use it in a different form with a different meaning.
There's always someone has to bring the tone down, isn't there?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that was
It's usually me.
Just a wee comment of mine.
Very good. I'm afraid I'm going to be very regional here, and I'm sticking with another regional word, Egypt. And I checked, it is in the Oxford and Cambridge dictionary. It is. So it's an official word in British English.
How do you spell it?
Spelled E-J-I-T. It is in the dictionary. Egypt. But it really means idiot. And you might think, well, idiot's not a very nice word, is it? It's true, the idea of idiot isn't nice, but I just love the word Egypt because we use it such a lot in Ireland. But it's usually lightheartedly in use. So with a friend who's done something, slightly silly, you'd say, oh, don't be an idiot. You idiot. I guess like in standard English, you would just say, oh, you idiot. But it sounds much more common and natural if you're Irish to say, ye idiot. So it's a question, again, of kind of almost identity, national identity and culture.
Yeah, I have heard that word before, and I do like it, especially when it's said with an Irish accent. So I think it's very common in Ireland to use that. We wouldn't use it necessarily in the south of England so much, but I have heard it a lot. Egypt. Yeah, Egypt.
It can be made much more light than the standard idiot. Because even if you say to someone, oh, don't be an idiot, that doesn't sound too bad. But it's even smoother if you do a really over-the-top Irish accent and say, oh, now don't be an idiot there. It takes all the bad intent out of it. There's no bad intent at all, right?
Yeah, it's very soft.
Yeah. It's almost like fun, to be called an idiot. The next word is, again, very regionalistic, and I'm going even more specific now. not only is it Irish, but it's more specifically actually Northern Irish, where I come from. This is very, very, very typical of the north of Ireland. It's the word pronounced quare, Q-U-A-R-E. It's in the dictionary. I checked to make sure it wasn't an unofficial word. You'll get it in the Oxford Dictionary. And it's used very frequently, and it can have two meanings. One meaning is obvious. It's really a variation of the word queer. For example, that's a really queer way of making a cup of tea. You put the tea bag in with the milk, and then you put the sugar, and then the water at the end. That's a really queer way.
Meaning strange or unusual.
Strange, yeah, queer. But in Northern Ireland, people might say, that's a queer way of making tea. Queer. So we have our own spelling and our own pronunciation.
Queer.
It can also mean quite. So it has that meaning as well. And it's kind of a combination of the two. For example, imagine someone's bought a really nice jacket, a really nice, expensive looking leather jacket. You might say, that's a queer jacket you bought there. It doesn't mean queer in that sense. It means, that's quite
so
impressive.
It's positive in that use.
That's a queer expensive jacket you've got there. So it has that meaning as well. Look, I'll give you a little sentence, which is, I promise you, a very, very, very common thing you'll hear if you go to Northern Ireland. You might hear this. Here, boy, long wee man's a queer Egypt says.
I didn't understand a word of that. You're going to have to slow down a bit and explain that.
Well, I've written it in the slow note. The
slow notes?
I slowed it down in the slow notes.
Did you say it slower when you wrote it?
Yeah.
I'm writing slowly because I know you can't read fast.
That's me just being silly. It's not an Irish thing to say slow instead of show. I'm just an idiot. Yeah.
You're such an idiot, Reza. To see the show notes,
you have to go slow to read them.
To see the show notes, to read these words that are in our lists, go to inglespodcast.com/614 for today's episode 614. inglespodcast.com/614.
Well, what I'm really saying is, here boy, which you can say in standard English as well, here boy or here man. That little man is quite an idiot, isn't he? But that becomes here boy, and boy will be pronounced ba. Here boy. And we got a special word for your, which is thon, which has a connection with Old English, which we've kept in Northern Ireland. So here boy, wee man's a queer idiot, so he is. And that so he is very typical at the end of any sentence.
It's like a tag question, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, so it is.
Yeah, it is, so it is. Nice.
The next word, I'm not sure if it's a regional thing or not. It might be. I certainly know that it's very common in Ireland, using the word lush a lot. Oh, did you have a nice meal? Oh, man, it was lush. Lush. What about Bali? Is it a nice place to visit? Oh, it's lush. You got to go there. It's lush. And I like that one because it's such a rich sound. If you exaggerate it, and I apologize for me using the microphone badly now, you get lush. So it's that sound at the end. It's kind of, that's a nice sound, don't you think?
You can hear the sea. Actually, I know it's very common in Wales as well with that use. Have you ever seen the TV series Gavin and Stacey?
A few times, yeah. But do they use it a lot?
Yeah, some of the speakers are from London, but some are also from Wales. And you hear the word lush constantly as an adjective. Oh, that's lush. Oh, that's lush. All the time you hear that word in the TV series. So I think it's very common in Wales also.
Would you hear it much in Southeast England?
Not with that meaning. You would have lush countryside, for example, which means very rich, very green, a lush plant, perhaps, that's flowering and it's very full, but not in the use that you're using it, which just means very nice and very lovely.
My next word, or words I should say, because there's two really that go together, they are wasps and crisps.
Very difficult for Spanish speakers.
Yeah, not easy for anybody to say. I had to think about it to get it right there. A lot of native speakers will not bother to pronounce them very well because they have that consonant cluster of SPS at the end. And the reason why I like those words is not because I'm a fan of wasps or crisps, the actual things. I'm not. It's because my dad, who wasn't born in Ireland, but in India, always mispronounced these words till the day he died. And we took great delight in teasing him in our house. So we'd try to get him to say it. It was like, Dad, pass me that, would you? We'd deliberately not say the word crisps. So there'd be 2 or 3 things on the table. Pass me that. What do you want? Pass me that. What do you mean the crisps? Oh, got ya. Got ya. You said it. The crisps. That was his pronunciation of them. Yeah, the crisps. Yeah, he couldn't get the first S in there.
Yeah.
Or when he was outside in the gardens, like, oh, Dad, be careful. It's a hot day, sunny day. Why is that? Oh, look over there. Oh, the bloody vaps.
Yeah,
The
because
wasps.
the W will be pronounced with a V sound, VUSPs.
The bloody wasp comes out as bloody vaps. So I have very fond memories of my dad mispronouncing those words. He couldn't quite get his tongue around them. So that's why I like those words. And my last word, I'm going to settle for melancholy. By the way, it's the perfect day for melancholy because I'm looking at the window. It's grey. I see the rain through the window pane. It's been raining for about 4 days. Melancholy is a good word to describe today.
So sad and depressing, yeah?
Maybe, but mixed with a yearning. What is a yearning? A longing for something. Melancholy has the idea of a certain amount of sadness, but not complete sadness. Not absolute devastation. That's not melancholy. Melancholy is being sad, but somehow reveling in your own sadness, using it almost as an art form. That's melancholy. And the reason I choose melancholy is because it's the best we have in English to saudade. That's the word I really love. I'm a huge fan of the whole concept of saudade.
From Portuguese.
That's a Portuguese word, and it's very important to both Portuguese and Brazilian culture. They are masters of saudade. If you listen to their music, you'll find it's full of a kind of beautiful sadness of nostalgically remembering what's not great, what's gone wrong, what could have been. That's saudade. And the closest we've got in English is melancholy. And I'm a huge fan of that kind of concept.
When I think of that word melancholy, I think of 2 things, melons and cauliflowers. When you put those together, you get melancholy. I don't know why. But again, if you can think of a stupid connection to remember the word, it's very powerful. So it will help you to put that word in your brain so that you can use it in your active vocabulary. Melancholy. Let's take a quick break here because I know you listen to this podcast to take your English to the next level. But what about your speaking? Is your fluency improving? Are you happy with your speaking skills? My conversation course focuses on making you a more confident and more fluent English speaker. You'll join me and a small group of motivated students, and we'll meet on Zoom and have topical discussions, role plays, debates, and presentations that will expand your vocabulary and help you express yourself effectively in English. So be proactive and take the first step towards becoming a confident and fluent English speaker. Send me an email today to craig@inglespodcast.com and I'll send you details of the next online conversation course. Thanks for listening. Now let's get back to the podcast.
So, Craig, what about the words that you really like? What's on your list?
Well, the first one on my list, and again, go to the show notes to see these words written, is shenanigans. Shenanigans. And it means nonsense. For example, if someone is playing around and they're doing stupid things and they're not being sensible, you can say, stop your shenanigans. Be serious. Stop your shenanigans. And I like that word because it just rolls off the tongue. I think it's the consonants and the vowels together, the way that the word sounds. When you say it, you can really get your tongue around it, which is an expression Reza used earlier. And I have a couple of similar words. One is gobbledygook, which is also a nonsense word. If Reza says something that I don't understand and nobody understands, you can say,
Often
Reza,
happens.
sometimes happens. You can say, Reza, that's just gobbledygook. It doesn't make any sense. It's not logical. And another word I really like for the same reasons, hullabaloo. Hullabaloo is a lot of noise. You imagine children are playing in the house and they're shouting and they're screaming. You can say, come on, quiet down. Don't make so much noise. Stop the hullabaloo in there, which again is a lovely word to say. It just rolls off the tongue.
Craig, I guess you know that the word shenanigans is actually an Irish word.
It seems Irish to me, but I wasn't sure.
It's Irish as an Irish language, which has got into English.
Oh, interesting.
So you'll hear it a lot in Ireland as well.
I didn't know that. Lovely word, shenanigans. So I tend to like words because of their sounds. And if you go to Inglés podcast number 206, we did a podcast about onomatopoeia. And if a word is onomatopoeic, then when you say it, it sounds like what it actually means. For example, giggle. If you giggle, which is another word I like to say, that's the thing that when children laugh, they giggle and they giggle uncontrollably sometimes. They can't stop laughing. Another word that's onomatopoeic is whisper, because whisper sounds like you're whispering like that. And burp. If you have a nice meal and after you bring up air and it comes out your mouth, which can be quite rude in some cultures, that's a burp. And that sounds like what it actually means. And ducks quack. Quack is another word that sounds like what it actually means. So all of these words that are onomatopoeic, I really enjoy saying and I really like the meaning of them as well. So if you go to inglespodcast.com/206, you can see more words like these. And another word on my list, the next one is holiday, because of the meaning. Because everybody likes a holiday, right? Who doesn't like a holiday? The American word is vacation, which I don't like so much, possibly because it's got the V sound there, but we'll talk about that later with Razor's list of words he doesn't like that begin with V. But vacation is probably better for American speakers of English. But I like the word holiday because it just makes me happy when I think about it and when I say it. And I have two more. So bumblebee is another word I like to say. A bee is similar to the word that Reza used earlier about his dad with wasp. But wasp has a slightly longer, elongated body. And when it stings you, it doesn't die. Whereas the bee, when it stings you, it loses its sting and it goes off to die. And the bumblebee is rounder, has a rounder body. And I like saying the word bumblebee, probably because of the b, the alliteration. Alliteration is where you have letters that sound the same. And butterfly is a nice word to say as well. And when I was young, I used to say flutterby instead of butterfly, because to flutter is to move gently with the wind. So they flutter by, they move past you and they flutter, a butterfly. And finally, I must admit, I like all swear words, all those bad words in English that we don't tend to use on the podcast because we like to keep it family friendly and not banned in some countries. So we don't swear too much on the podcast, especially not really bad words. But I like saying swear words. I love swearing. And I've noticed, Reza, that you generally don't swear that much. Is there a reason for that?
I don't know. It depends how you find me. You come and see me when I've had a few beers and you'll hear me swear a bit more.
But you don't tend to say the F word, which is quite strong, or the C word, which is quite strong. You don't tend to use those really bad swear words very often.
I do use the F word, I think, from time to time. The C word, I've got to be really annoyed to use that.
Okay. Maybe when you think about the worker that was supposed to come this morning to do something in your flat, you might use the C word.
That comes to mind, yep.
Okay, let's move on to words we dislike. And first of all, let's look at why people sometimes dislike certain words. Why is that, Reza?
Well, we said that for the words that we like, it's because of the musicality. So, similarly, the words that we dislike, they can just sound unpleasant. If you don't like the sound of it, you're not going to like the word. Craig, can you think of any word which most people find just sounds unpleasant?
Well, on my list, I've got phlegm. It's not very nice to say, and also it means something that isn't nice.
Yeah, that's a really good example. It's probably because you have to do kind of strange things with your tongue to make that, to go phlegm. To go f and then l is tricky. So it's probably that. It's probably something to do with it's a bit awkward to say.
That and the meaning of it.
Yeah, both together, yeah.
So phlegm is, well, I'll say it now, it's mucus. It's those two words I don't like. It's the stuff that comes out of your mouth, especially when you have a really bad cold. And the liquid, thick, gooey, green stuff comes out of your mouth. That's called phlegm, or mucus. Can also come out of your nose as well. That's a horrible word.
And another thing about it is our second category, also with phlegm and mucus, it's to do with a bodily function. That's another thing. People often don't like words to do with bodily functions.
That's true. Yeah.
So that's a double reason why not to like the word phlegm.
Also, words that are overused really annoy me, and some people overuse swear words. The thing about swear words is they can be very effective if you use them sparingly, which means you don't use them every sentence or 2 or 3 times in a sentence. So if you use swear words occasionally, they do have a power. But the problem is, don't overuse them. So any words, not only swear words, I'll look at some later that also bother me a lot. Other words that people repeat unnecessarily really annoy me. Also, words that can be pretentious, words that try and make you sound more intelligent or better than you actually are. They can be very annoying. And also when words are misused, which is used badly or incorrectly, they can also be very annoying. So let's look at my words. My list is quite short. I mentioned phlegm and mucus earlier. Another word, moist, which when I did Google today's topic, moist came at the top of the list for words that people dislike the most.
Wow. That didn't influence you. You thought that before you found it out on Google.
I knew that before I double checked it. So I knew that it was a word that people hated, and it means damp, which is not exactly wet. It's before something gets wet. So if you clean the table with a moist cloth, then it has some liquid in it, but it's not very wet. It's just wet a little bit. You can say damp or you can say moist, but again, it can also refer to parts of the body, which is one reason why I think people don't like it.
Too deeply.
We won't go there.
Not too deeply, no.
We won't go there physically, and we won't go there idiomatically. So moist is a word that, I don't like, and most people don't either. Shoulder is a word that reminds me of my childhood because it was a word that I could never say properly. I always used to say soldier instead of shoulder. So I confused those two words when I was very young, and my parents would laugh at me and I felt terrible. So it took me a long time to learn to say soldier, someone who fights in a war, and shoulder, that connects your head to your arm.
So, Craig, I've got to test you then, see if you've advanced since then. How would you say that part of the body when it belongs to a military person? What is it then?
You mean a soldier's shoulder?
That's it. Well done. Well, we got it.
Years of practice there, Reza. Years of practice. Another word that goes back to my childhood, smack, S-M-A-C-K. I'll smack you if you misbehave. Don't do that again, Craig. I'll give you a smack. So a smack is when your parents hit you. And yes, I'm very old. Back in the day when parents could hit their children, my parents did hit me. They smacked me. So a smack is usually with the hand open, because if you hit someone with the hand closed, that's a punch. And I don't mind the word punch, but smack really reminds me of my mum and my dad smacking me. And that word also is slang for heroin, which perhaps is another reason to dislike it. Another word I don't like, which is probably obvious, is war, mainly because of the meaning of war, and much prefer peace than war. So that's another word I dislike. And I mentioned before when words are overused. And I have a couple of examples. First of all, like, which is incredibly overused. specifically, but not only by American speakers of English. They say every couple of words with in the middle, and then they go to say something and they will explain it with the word like. And it just constantly is in the middle of words without it necessarily having to be there. And similarly, in a similar way, you've got the word literally. I literally died laughing. No, you didn't. You're still alive, my friend. So you haven't died, not literally died. And people overuse that word as well. I literally fell over with joy when I got the good news. No, you didn't. You didn't literally fall over. You were just very happy. So those words that are overused and maybe used outside of their context and incorrectly, that bothers me as well. Reza, your turn.
Well, I'm going to start my list with a word which won't surprise anyone: vomit. I imagine a lot of people don't like that word because, well, I know I shouldn't, but just when I hear it, it often makes me think of the actual unpleasant act of vomiting. So it's just a word. Like many people, I think I'm not alone. I particularly dislike hearing this word while I'm eating. So while you're eating and somebody says, "Oh, I was so sick of the day, I was vomiting all over the place," you're like, "Can you?" "Yeah, no, but it was terrible vomit." You think, "Can you please don't say that when I'm eating?"
How do you feel about the phrasal verb to throw up, which means to vomit?
Sounds nicer than vomit. I'd rather have it than vomit. What about you?
Yeah, it doesn't sound so bad. But again, words with V maybe we don't like. We'll come to another one soon, but vomit is a word that I dislike also.
The next word is kind of self-explanatory for me: nasty. So if something's nasty, it's not nice at all. The word nasty sounds nasty. It just doesn't sound good. It couldn't. Anything nasty. You can say it in a way that's, "Oh, nasty, nasty. Oh, that can't be good."
He's such a nasty man.
Nasty. It has, I don't like the sound of it. The sound of it, from the start, it doesn't sound good. I think even if you didn't know a single word of English, if you came from another country and you heard the word, "Oh, nasty, nasty," you just know, oh, hold on, this isn't good. It just doesn't sound good.
Interestingly, that has two pronunciations. You can say nasty, as I would in the south of England, or nasty in the north. How would you say it?
Nasty. More like the north of England.
Yeah. Nasty.
Now, my next word, I better be careful how I tread here. Okay, I'll just get it out there. Vagina. You heard it. Vagina. That part of the female body. Now, don't get me wrong. I have nothing against actual physical vaginas. That part of the female body does not bother me at all. In fact, let's not get too much into it, but quite the reverse. I guess it's just a part of the body which I really rather like when I'm in certain company at times. But let's not get into that. It's the sound of the word vagina. It doesn't do justice to what it represents because, as I've said, it's that very important part of the female body. But the word vagina is just not good enough. Vagina. It sounds like you're embarrassed to say it already. It's like, it's a word, if I must say it, I will, but I'd rather not. Vagina. We kind of have to get it out there quick. It kind of sounds aloof. This word aloof, A-L-O-O-F, it's like you don't really care. And considering we're talking about this very, very, very important part of the female body, I feel we should have a better word. It doesn't sound good.
There are other words you could use.
Oh, there are plenty of words, but we better not teach our listeners. Some of them are funny, some of them are not so nice at all. But vagina is the official, neutral, correct word for that part of the female body. And it's just not a good word. Do you know what? I think it's something to do with vomit. It's because it starts with V. I think a lot of words which start with V are not nice. Vomit. Vagina. I don't like words that start with V, I think. Could that be something to do with it?
Possibly. How do you feel about penis?
Penis isn't so bad. I don't know why. It's not a great word, but it's not terrible either. It'll do the job. It'll work. But I just find that the word vagina, it just sounds a bit silly and half-hearted and like aloof for what it is. It's not a good word. What do you think? Am I reading far too much into this?
I'd rather not go there.
Wouldn't you?
What's your next word on the list, Reza?
The next word is loser. Loser. But I mean when it's used to describe a generally unimportant person. I don't mean loser as in the sport world. There has to be a winner and a loser. That's okay. There's no other way to say it. The one who wins is the winner. The one who loses is the loser. That's okay. But I'm talking about as a general kind of meaning for, oh, he's a loser. He's an unimportant person. Don't worry about him. He's a loser. Because it makes me think, well, what are you saying? Is if there were certain accepted standard ways of being successful. So what's a winner then? It depends how you look at it. I could mention certain extremely important politicians in power at the minute who never stop using this word for anybody they don't like. So I don't like someone, they're a loser. Hold on, this man's a multi-millionaire cultural icon. He's hardly a loser. Don't call him a loser just because you don't like him. So people use this word losers like, yeah, you've got nothing to offer the world. And for me, when someone says the word loser in that sense, it tells you more about the person who's saying the word, not the supposed loser. It tells you about how that person sees the world. I mean, I don't know about you, Craig, but I don't see the world in terms of winners and losers. I think it's a horrible way to see the world. I don't see the world that way.
I think you're absolutely right. I agree with you. I think it's disrespectful to the other person, and it doesn't really put you in a good light, which means it doesn't make you seem to be a fair and reasonable person. To call another person a loser, it just says more about you than it does about the person who you're talking about. I agree 100%.
My last word is a seemingly innocuous word. Innocuous means what harm could it do? But I'll explain. It's the word issue. Now, the sound isn't too bad. It's the word that's spelled ISSUE. But it's when it's used to avoid saying a more useful or more direct word. For example, imagine I say to you, oh, she has issues she needs to resolve. What issues? Could be anything. Does she have psychological problems? Bad health? Has she health issues? Financial problems? What is this? She has issues. Oh, you have to be sympathetic because she has issues. Well, what are the issues? Just say what they are. She got bad health or what? Tell me what it is. The word issues doesn't tell you anything, but I find that people use it more and more these days to avoid, saying directly what they're actually talking about. And I don't understand why we're so obsessed with doing that these days.
I think it's used very often these days as a synonym for a problem. So, there's an issue with your tax form, for example, or there's an issue with your punctuality, meaning there's a problem with it. So problem can be quite negative. It can have a negative connotation, whereas issue doesn't sound so strong. So I think it's used in that sense to soften it a bit, which I quite like. But I agree with you. If you're being too general with issue, it could be anything. So you need to specify what it is, what the issue is. Okay, well, now it's your turn to practice your English. Do you agree or disagree with our lists of likable and hated words? What are your favorite words in English? And tell us why. Are there any English words you really dislike for any reason? And are there words that people maybe overuse in your language, literally, and like? For example, send us a message. You can reach us on SpeakPipe and send us a voice message, which is our preferred way of communication. Go to speakpipe.com/Ingles podcast. And if you prefer to write, Reza, how can people contact us by email?
You could send an email to craig@inglespodcast.com or belfastreza@gmail.com.
And if you're a Spanish speaker, and we know many of you are, and you'd like to improve your English with free and paid resources, why not visit the Mansion Ingles website at mansioningles.com. And for paid products, you can browse the online store at store.mansioningles.net.
If you'd like to have a full audio transcription of the podcast, you might consider joining our Patreon program. And as a member of the program, you'll get instant access to all the audio transcriptions. And you'll also get an invitation to join Craig once a month for an informal chat on Zoom. So if you're interested in making a small donation, there's a link in the show notes. It's to patreon.com/Ingles patreon.com/English podcast, and you'll get that warm, fuzzy feeling of supporting the podcast as an added benefit.
I would like to thank all our lovely Patreon supporters who are helping us to keep this show going. What's next week, Reza?
Next week, we're talking about whilst, though, and other linking words.
So join us next week for some linking and connecting words, a little bit of grammar for you next week. And until then, have a lovely week ahead. It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.
The music in this podcast is by Pitts. The track is called See You Later.